to go over similarities and differences in Cinderella and Cinderella Penguin. You have already done this with Miss Rebecca in the last lesson. Now we're going to kind of go deeper inside of the similarities and differences, which is also comparing and contrasting. All stories have similarities and all stories have differences. Whenever that has the same storyline, but a author wants to alter and make different the storyline a little bit, that's what they did with Cinderella. And then there was an author that said, hey, I'm going to make a Cinderella, but I'm going to say it's going to have a penguin in it. And the penguin is going to be the Cinderella. So that is comparing and contrasting. So what we did, we're taking Cinderella and Cinderella Penguin. We're going to compare and contrast, and we're going to come up with as many similarities and as many differences that we can from the two stories. Now, sometimes the similarities can be very, very easy to come up with. Those are more like, oh, well, I can remember there was a princess and the stepsisters, and there was a prince, and Cinderella wasn't able to go to the ball. All those are pretty easy to come up with. The differences with contrasting, that is a little bit more difficult. And sometimes you have to go back. And what good readers do is they go back in. If they can't come up with differences or similarities, they go back and they read the story again. They listen to the story again. And then they listen to the other story or read the other story, and sometimes make notes of what is the same and what is different. Because I know sometimes as an adult, next time I read a book, I can read the book 3 or 4 times, but I see something new or different the second or third time I've read it. So it's always good to go back if you don't know. So you should have filled out a graphic organizer that had Cinderella, the character, the setting, the problem, solution, and Cinderella Penguin, the character, setting, problem, and solution. What we would like for you to do now is to circle, highlight, or write down the similarities that you remember between Cinderella and Cinderella Penguin. I have right here, they both rode in a carriage, a pumpkin carriage, to the ball. Boys and girls, there are so many other similarities that you can use this one, but I also want you to think about 2 or 3 more that you can look at and write down, because I know that you can do that. Please do not copy the one that is on my graphic organizer. Similarities are alike, so it has the same thing in each story. So go back to your graphic organizer and look at the characters. What did you write down? That would be the same. Look at the problem. What was the same problem that Cinderella had, that Cinderella Penguin had? Were there similarities in the solutions? And please pick out 2 to 3, and you can highlight them with a highlighter, or you can circle them with a crayon, or you can write it on another piece of paper and say, here are the similarities of Cinderella and Cinderella Penguin. Now we're going to go to the differences, which is contrasting. Sometimes differences are harder to actually think about, because the similarities we have, the princess or the stepsisters, and we can see the setting, we have the pictures, we have the illustrations, we have all these different things that we're looking at inside the book. Sometimes it's hard to come up with the differences. So this is probably a good time to go back and look at the stories again and listen to and read and write down what the differences are. I have the characters. The characters in Cinderella They are humans. They are people. The characters in Cinderella Penguin, they're penguins, so they're animals. Try to come up with 2 to 3 differences, and you can look at your graphic organizer, circle it with a highlighter, circle it with a different color crayon, or you can write it on a notebook piece of paper. These are the differences between Cinderella and Cinderella Penguin. We will be using this information in a future lesson, so please take your time and make sure that you have at least 2 to 3 similarities and differences between Cinderella and Cinderella Penguin. And really try not to use the examples that is in this lesson. I know you can do it. We believe in you, and have a wonderful day.